So what would you say is the missed opportunity by not moving forward and getting a portal to market?
The missed opportunities there's many of them. I think one of the biggest ones that we typically see, though, is like anything else. If you're not going to take care of your clients and give them what they desire, someone else will. And that's where people really miss the mark big time when it comes to this is, they've had this business for 15, 20, 30, 40 plus years, whatever it may be. They're so used to it, they kind of just get into that rhythm, almost a rut, if you will, because they kind of expect it. Well, then all of a sudden they start losing some of these people because they're not keeping up with the times and someone else is. In a world today where experience is everything and efficiency is everything, you have to stay up to date on those things. And that's a perfect example of client portals. And we've seen situations here at OnSharp where a client did not move forward with something, and then all of a sudden they got into a pretty messy spot a couple years down the road because they were losing clients left and right. It was tough to acquire them because they just didn't have these types of programs in place, and their competitors did.
And I think it's interesting. I think sometimes businesses think about that by doing nothing, that's safer than maybe taking the risk of putting something new in front of the customer. And in today's technology world, I just don't think you can do that. I think rewind 30 years ago, you maybe could have gotten away with that because the world moves slower. Like there wasn't as much change, but there is so much rapid evolution because of technology now that I just don't think businesses can afford to stand still and wait and just kind of cross their fingers and hope that the customer doesn't need it or isn't going to demand it. How would you elaborate on that?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think it's a complacency thing. They just kind of have that mindset going into it. And let's be honest, a buyer today is much different than a buyer was back then. And you're also seeing a big transition in just, who's coming in and who's becoming your new client. It's not the guy that, never used a smartphone in his life anymore. It's people who are aware, and let's be honest, the client typically in a lot of cases knows more about the product or service a lot of times than maybe even the salesperson does.
Yeah.
And they want to be able to have a self-service option to where they can make a purchase, for example, or see the current status of an order or see past history, all of those sort of things. And if you're not providing that experience to them, it's really doing them a disservice and also you a disservice as well, because the efficiencies that these types of programs can create are massive. And why, if I'm a business owner, why would I not want to A, give my client a better experience, B, make things more efficient on my end, and ultimately when you're doing that, you're probably going to be saving money and making more sales.
Yeah, and I think another big mistake business owners make is they think that, just because I personally don't use that technology means that it's not valuable and nobody else will. I mean, I think you see that if we take a different angle, even in the world of social media. I think you see a lot of people that are like, I don't use social media, so therefore it's not relevant to my business. But you have to understand that you need to be where your customer is and you give them those options. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on the opportunity.
Absolutely. And again, it's, things are changing so rapidly where, if you were looking at putting something like this together, now is really the time. And it doesn't have to be all at once or anything like that. You can do it in stages, but just making those steps and adjusting accordingly to, your clients and what they want. I mean, that's everything.